Hello and welcome. Let's have an honest conversation for a moment. Have you ever found yourself hesitating before picking up a full gallon of milk from the back of the refrigerator? Or does the thought of getting up from that low, comfortable sofa feel a little more daunting than it used to? Maybe it's the simple act of carrying in all the grocery bags in one trip, something you used to do without a second thought. If you felt this, I want you to know you are not just getting older. You're experiencing something real, a condition that doctors call sarcopenia. And the numbers are staggering. According to research from top institutions like the Cleveland Clinic and studies cited by the National Institute on Aging, after about the age of 50, we can lose 1 to 2% of our muscle mass every single year. By the time we reach our 80s, this condition can affect up to half of us. For decades, the common advice has been vague, but what many doctors don't have the time to fully explain in a 15-minute visit is a crucial secret. As we age, our bodies develop something called anabolic resistance. It's a fascinating concept. It essentially means our muscles become a bit hard of hearing to the signals that tell them to grow and repair. The old rules about nutrition, especially protein, just don't apply to us in the same way anymore. But here is the empowering truth. The very reason we're here together today. You have far more control over this than you might think. In the next 25 minutes, we are going to arm you with a powerful new toolkit. We will count down the top 9 foods, backed by solid science from institutions like Johns Hopkins and the Mayo Clinic, that are specifically designed to break through that resistance and tell your muscles it's time to rebuild. This isn't just about food. The problem we're tackling today is sarcopenia, that gradual, often sneaky loss of muscle that can rob us of our strength and stability. It's a major factor behind increased frailty, and it's one of the primary reasons for the falls and fractures that can so dramatically impact our quality of life. Our goal today is ambitious, but it is absolutely achievable. To give you a clear, science-backed nutritional roadmap to not just slow this process down, but to actively rebuild strong, healthy muscle tissue. We won't be talking about fads or unproven theories. Everything we discuss is grounded in research from America's most trusted health institutions. We'll be drawing from the published work and guidelines of the Mayo Clinic, Johns Hopkins Medicine, and studies reviewed and compiled by the National Institutes of Health. We've done the heavy lifting, sifting through the medical journals and clinical studies to distill the science into simple, actionable steps you can start using today. To make this journey easy to follow, we're going to structure it as a countdown. We'll start at number 9 and work our way to the single most powerful food for rebuilding muscle. For each one, we'll explore why it's so effective, the simple science behind it, and then I'll give you a clear, easy action step to incorporate it into your life. And I promise you, some of these will surprise you. You'll definitely want to stick around for number 5. It's a common dairy product with a super-powered cousin that's perfect for muscle building. And our number 1 strategy is a true game changer that actually works while you sleep. Now, a quick but very important reminder. I am an expert in synthesizing this health information, but I am not your doctor. This video is for educational and informational purposes only, and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. The strategies we'll discuss are powerful, but they work best as part of a larger conversation with your own healthcare provider. This is especially true if you have any pre-existing conditions, like kidney disease, which can be affected by protein intake. Please always consult your personal physician for any questions or before making significant changes to your diet. All right, are you ready? Let's begin our countdown and start rebuilding. We're kicking off our countdown with a food that solves one of the most common mistakes I see, the breakfast blunder. This is when you start your day with a meal that's all carbohydrates and very little protein. Think a plain bagel, a bowl of sugary cereal, or just toast with jelly. Here's the simple science of why that's a problem. Think of your muscles as being in a state of breakdown and repair while you sleep. You're fasting for 8 hours after all. Breakfast is your very first opportunity to flip the switch from that breakdown state back into build mode. But to flip that switch, your body needs a substantial signal, and that signal is protein. A carb-only breakfast gives you a quick burst of energy, sure, but it sends zero signal to your muscles to start repairing and growing. You're essentially leaving your muscle-building machinery sitting idle for hours. This is where that concept of anabolic resistance really comes into play. Because our muscles are a little hard of hearing, we can't just whisper at them with a tiny bit of protein. I remember talking to a woman named Susan, who was a member at my local community center. She would get up early and do a water aerobics class, and then she'd go home and have a simple bowl of oatmeal. She couldn't understand why she felt so drained and weak by the afternoon. A nutritionist suggested she make one tiny change: add 2 hard-boiled eggs to her morning routine. That simple addition of about 12 grams of high-quality protein made a world of difference. She said she felt stronger, more clear-headed, and had sustained energy that lasted well into the afternoon. So the perfect, affordable, and easy solution to the breakfast blunder is the humble egg. One large egg contains about 6 grams of high-quality, complete protein, meaning it has all 9 of those essential amino acid workers we need. It's also rich in that all-important amino acid, leucine, which is the main trigger for muscle growth. Your action step is simple. Aim to eat 2 to 3 eggs for breakfast, at least a few times a week. Scrambled, poached, hard-boiled, it doesn't matter how you prepare them. This simple addition gets you a solid 12 to 18 grams of protein and starts your day in a powerful muscle-building state. Now, as a quick red flag, for years, eggs got a bad rap because of cholesterol. However, major health organizations like the American Heart Association now agree that for most healthy people, an egg a day is perfectly fine and not associated with increased risk of heart disease. But if you have specific concerns about your cholesterol or a history of heart disease, as always, that's a conversation to have with your doctor. So we fixed breakfast. But what about a common pitfall for those trying to eat healthier with more plant-based foods? That brings us directly to number 8. Coming in at number 8 is a solution to what I call the plant protein puzzle. This is a common trap for people who are trying to eat healthier by incorporating more plant-based meals, but they find themselves feeling weaker, not stronger. The puzzle is this: not all plant proteins are created equal when it comes to building muscle. Here's the simple science. To build muscle, your body needs that team of 9 essential amino acids we talked about. Think of them as a construction crew. If even one of the essential workers is missing, the whole project grinds to a halt. Animal proteins like meat, fish, and eggs are called complete proteins because they have all 9 workers on the team, ready to go. Many plant proteins, however, are incomplete. They might be missing 1 or 2 of those essential workers. I have a friend, David, who decided to go vegetarian for his health. He was so proud of his big, beautiful salads and his vegetable soups. But after a few months, he confessed that he felt like he was losing his edge, that his strength was fading. The problem wasn't that he was eating plants. The solution to this puzzle is to eat smart plant proteins, and the champions here are lentils and beans. A single cup of cooked lentils is a nutritional powerhouse, packing about 17 grams of protein and a huge dose of healthy fiber. But here is the key. Your action step is not just to eat them, but to combine them intelligently. To create a complete protein, you simply need to pair lentils or beans with a whole grain. Think about classic combinations from around the world that people have been eating for centuries. A bowl of lentil soup with a slice of whole wheat bread, or a meal of black beans and brown rice. This simple food pairing provides your body with all 9 essential amino acids, giving your muscles the complete toolkit they need to get to work. Now for the red flags. If you are following a strict vegetarian or vegan diet and you're experiencing significant fatigue or strength loss, it's a wonderful idea to consult with a registered dietitian. They are experts at designing meal plans and can help ensure you're getting a complete amino acid profile at every single meal, tailored to your specific needs. So we've learned how to build a complete protein from plants. But what about a food that can actively protect our muscles from a hidden enemy? That brings us to number 7. At number 7, we're tackling the healthy snack trap. This is what happens when we reach for something that seems like a good choice. Maybe some plain crackers, a rice cake, or a handful of pretzels. But we miss a massive opportunity to fight back against a hidden enemy of our muscles: chronic inflammation. Here's the science, and it's fascinating. As we get older, our bodies can sometimes get stuck in a state of chronic, low-grade inflammation. Scientists have even given it a name: inflammaging. You can think of it like a car alarm that's stuck on, constantly blaring at a low level throughout your entire system. This state of constant alert is terrible for our muscles. It creates a hostile, catabolic environment, meaning a state of breakdown. That makes it incredibly difficult for our muscles to repair themselves and grow. I think of my aunt, who used to complain about her achy joints and how her muscles always felt tired and heavy. She was snacking on pretzels in the afternoon, thinking they were a light and healthy choice. On the advice of her doctor, she made a simple swap. She started snacking on a small handful of walnuts instead. After a few weeks, she told me that not only did she have more energy, but she noticed her joints felt a little less creaky. She was actively fighting inflammation with her snack choice and didn't even realize it. Your solution here is to snack smarter with walnuts. Walnuts are a true superfood. They don't just provide a bit of protein and healthy fat. So your action step is this: swap out your usual afternoon snack for a small handful of walnuts. A quarter cup is a perfect serving size. It's simple, it's satisfying, and it goes to work putting out those inflammatory fires that can sabotage your strength. For our red flags, while walnuts are incredibly healthy, they are calorie-dense, so portion control is important if you're managing your weight. And of course, if you have a nut allergy, this is not the snack for you. It's also important to remember that if you're experiencing persistent and painful inflammation, that's a sign to talk to your doctor, as it could be a symptom of an underlying condition, like arthritis, that needs medical attention. Fighting inflammation is a key defensive strategy, but what if you're avoiding one of the best all-around plant-based proteins out there, simply due to confusion or old myths? That brings us to number 6. Culprit number 6 is a misconception that has held so many people back from a fantastic muscle-building food. I call it the meatless myth. This is the old-fashioned belief that you simply can't build or maintain serious muscle without eating meat. This fear has caused many to overlook one of the most versatile, affordable, and effective muscle-building foods on the planet. Let's look at the science that busts this myth. Remember our conversation about complete proteins, the ones that have the full team of 9 essential amino acids? While many plant sources are incomplete on their own, there is a major, shining exception: Soy-based foods like tofu are one of the very few plant sources that provide a complete protein profile all by themselves. This means that when you eat tofu, you are giving your muscles every single tool they need for the construction job, all in one convenient package. In fact, some research has even shown that soy protein can be just as effective as milk protein for maintaining muscle mass in older adults. My father was a classic meat and potatoes guy his whole life. When his doctor suggested he incorporate more plant-based meals to help his heart health, he was deeply skeptical. He was genuinely worried he'd get weaker. He reluctantly agreed to try a stir-fry made with tofu one night, and he was absolutely shocked. Not only did he find it delicious once it soaked up the flavors of the sauce, but he felt just as satisfied and energetic as he did after a meal with chicken. It was a light bulb moment for him. He realized he wasn't losing anything from his diet. The food that single-handedly busts this myth is tofu. A half-cup serving of firm tofu can deliver over 20 grams of high-quality, complete protein. It's also a good source of calcium, which, as we'll discuss later, is vital for the actual mechanics of muscle contraction. Your action step is to give it a try. Maybe start with a meatless Monday and make tofu the star of your meal. The key is to stop thinking of it as some weird, bland health food and start thinking of it as a sponge for flavor. For the best results, choose firm or extra firm tofu. Cube it up, toss it with a little soy sauce and cornstarch, and then bake it at a high temperature or use an air fryer until it's golden and crispy. You can then add these crispy cubes to stir-fries, salads, or pasta dishes for a fantastic protein boost. Now for the red flags. There used to be a lot of concern and confusion about soy and its effect on hormones. However, decades of research have now largely debunked these fears for people who eat soy in moderation. Of course, if you have a known soy allergy, you must avoid it. And if you have a thyroid condition, it's always a good idea to discuss your soy intake with your doctor, as very high amounts could potentially interfere with certain medications. Okay, we've just added a plant-based powerhouse to our list. But before we get to our top 5, let's hit the pause button and take a quick breath. Okay, let's take a moment here. We're halfway through our countdown, and you're doing great. So far, we've uncovered some major culprits behind age-related muscle loss, and more importantly, their powerful solutions. We've talked about the critical importance of starting your day right, with a protein-packed breakfast of eggs. We've solved the plant protein puzzle with smart combinations of lentils and beans. We've learned how to fight muscle-sabotaging inflammation with a daily snack of walnuts. And we've busted the meatless myth with the complete plant-based protein of tofu. The common thread connecting all of these is that you have the power to make small, intelligent choices every single day that add up to a huge difference in your strength, your energy, and your overall vitality. This isn't about some radical, difficult diet. It's about targeted, strategic nutrition. And by the way, if you're finding this information valuable and empowering, would you do me a quick favor and tap that like button down below? It's just a small click for you, but it sends a signal to YouTube that this is important information, and it helps other folks in our community find this video. Thank you so much for that. All right, are you ready to get into the top 5? This is where we get into the real heavy hitters, the foods that can make the biggest and fastest impact on your strength. Let's dive right in with number 5. Coming in at number 5, we have a solution for what I call the dairy downgrade. This is what happens at the grocery store when you reach for a standard yogurt, often one of those fruit on the bottom types that can be loaded with sugar, and you miss out on its far more powerful cousin for building muscle. Here's the simple science. Regular yogurt is fine, but when it comes to packing a serious protein punch, it's a bit of a lightweight. Remember, Our goal is to get a concentrated dose of high-quality protein to overcome that age-related anabolic resistance. We need to send a strong signal. This is where the simple traditional process used to make Greek yogurt makes all the difference. It's strained multiple times to remove much of the liquid whey, water, and naturally occurring milk sugar called lactose. What's left behind is a much thicker, creamier, and dramatically more protein-dense product. It's not magic. My own mother used to eat a small, flavored yogurt every single day, thinking it was a great health choice. But when we looked at the label, we saw it was packed with added sugar and only had about 6 or 7 grams of protein. When she switched to a serving of plain Greek yogurt and started adding her own fresh berries and a sprinkle of nuts, she more than doubled her protein intake and cut her sugar consumption by more than half. She told me she felt less hungry in the middle of the morning and had more energy for her true passion, which is her garden. The clear winner in this category is Greek yogurt. A typical 1-cup serving of plain, low-fat Greek yogurt can contain a whopping 17 to 24 grams of protein. That's often 2 or even 3 times more than regular yogurt. It's also a fantastic source of calcium, which is essential not just for our bones, but for the very process of muscle contraction. Your action step here is to make the switch. When you're at the store, reach for plain Greek yogurt. Choosing plain is key, as it allows you to control the sugar content. You can then add your own delicious flavor with a handful of fresh berries, a sprinkle of those walnuts we talked about, or a tiny drizzle of honey. For the red flags, if you are lactose intolerant, you might actually find that Greek yogurt is easier for you to digest. That's because the straining process removes a good portion of the lactose. However, it's not completely lactose-free. If you are very sensitive, you can look for lactose-free versions of Greek yogurt or fortified soy alternatives, which can also be excellent choices. Greek yogurt gives us a powerful, concentrated protein boost. But our next food fights muscle loss on 2 different fronts at the exact same time. That brings us to number 4. At number 4, we're revisiting a familiar foe, but we're coming at it with a brand new, powerful solution. The problem is the inflammation factor. We already know that chronic inflammation is a certified muscle killer. But if you're only relying on plant-based sources to fight it, you might be missing out on the most potent anti-inflammatory weapon in the entire grocery store. Let's quickly revisit the science. As we've discussed, inflammation creates a catabolic state, a state of breakdown in the body. This makes it incredibly difficult for our muscles to get into an anabolic or building state. The specific omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty fish, known as EPA and DHA, are some of the most powerful anti-inflammatory compounds you can possibly eat. They go to work directly quieting the inflammatory processes that can lead to muscle soreness, stiffness, and the degradation of muscle tissue. This creates the perfect, calm environment for the other nutrient in the fish, high-quality protein, to do its job of rebuilding. I have a good friend, a retired firefighter named Jack, who deals with a lot of arthritis in his knees and back from a long and physically demanding career. He told me he always felt his workouts were a 1 step forward, 2 steps back situation because of the pain and stiffness he'd feel for days afterward. His doctor, citing the growing body of research on omega-3s, encouraged him to make a point of eating salmon twice a week. Jack says it was a genuine turning point for him. The combination of actively fighting inflammation while also delivering high-quality protein helped his recovery immensely and made his strength training finally feel productive again. So the 2-for-1 solution here is fatty fish, especially salmon. A modest 3-ounce serving of salmon provides around 22 grams of top-tier protein. But just as importantly, it delivers that powerful dose of anti-inflammatory EPA and DHA omega-3s. Your action step, which is echoed by the American Heart Association and National Dietary Guidelines, is to aim for 2 servings of fatty fish per week. Other great choices include mackerel, herring, and sardines. To keep it healthy, baking or grilling is the way to go. Now for the red flags. If you're taking any blood-thinning medication, it is very important that you talk to your doctor before you significantly increase your intake of omega-3s, whether that's from fish or from supplements, as they can have a mild blood-thinning effect. For those of you who simply don't like fish, a high-quality fish oil supplement can be a good alternative, but again, that is a decision to be made in conversation with your healthcare provider. So we're taming inflammation and delivering protein in one delicious meal. But what about a food that many of us have been told to avoid for years? Let's tackle that head-on with number 3. Culprit number 3 is what I call the red meat worry. For decades, we've been told to be cautious about red meat, and for very good reason when we're talking about high-fat, processed versions like bacon, sausage, and fatty burgers. But this blanket fear has caused many seniors to, as the saying goes, throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's led them to avoid one of the most potent, high-quality, and leucine-rich muscle-building foods available. Let's break down the science. Animal proteins are famous for their high biological value. That's a scientific way of saying they contain all the essential amino acids in proportions that are almost perfectly matched to what our bodies need, making them incredibly easy for us to use. Beef is a champion in this regard, but more importantly for our purposes, it is absolutely packed with leucine, that key amino acid that acts as the primary trigger, the loud wake-up call for muscle protein synthesis. For an older adult who is battling anabolic resistance, a leucine-rich meal is like using a megaphone to tell your muscles to grow. A meal lower in leucine can be more like a whisper, and our hard-of-hearing muscles might not even notice it. I think of a classic American success story. Someone like my own grandfather, who worked a physical job his entire life. His diet wasn't fancy, but it always included lean cuts of beef. He maintained incredible functional strength well into his 80s. Now, he wasn't eating huge, fatty ribeye steaks every night. He was eating sensible portions of lean beef, which provided the high-quality, leucine-rich protein his body needed to repair itself after a long day's work. The solution here is not just beef, but lean beef. According to the experts at the Mayo Clinic, the key is to look for cuts that have the words loin or round in the name. Think top sirloin steak, eye of round roast, or top round. When you're buying ground beef, look for the packages labeled 93% lean or even 95% lean. Your action step is to incorporate a 3 to 4 ounce serving of lean beef. That's about the size of a deck of cards, into your meals a couple of times a week. Before you cook it, trim off any solid visible fat. If you're cooking ground beef, drain the excess fat in a colander after browning it. Now, this red flag is very important. A diet that is high in fatty and processed meats is linked to health risks, including heart disease. We are very specifically talking about lean, unprocessed cuts of meat in sensible portions. Also, if you have been diagnosed with kidney disease or have been advised by your doctor to limit your protein intake for any reason, you must follow their guidance. A high-protein diet is not for everyone and should be approached with your personal health history in mind. Lean beef is a targeted, powerful tool in our arsenal. But what about the most convenient, affordable, and arguably the leanest powerhouse protein of them all? That brings us to our number 2 spot. Coming in at the number 2 spot is a food so common, so available, and so affordable that we often take it for granted. We see it every week at the grocery store, but we might not realize just how powerful it truly is. The mistake is simply overlooking the leanest, meanest, muscle-building machine out there. Let's talk about the protein-to-fat ratio, because this is where chicken breast truly shines. A 100-gram serving, that's about 3.5 ounces, of cooked, skinless chicken breast delivers a massive 31 grams of protein with only about 3.6 grams of fat. That is an incredible ratio. It means you can easily get that high dose of protein that you need to stimulate muscle growth without taking in a lot of extra calories or saturated fat. Just like beef, it's a complete protein, and it is rich in that all-important muscle-triggering amino acid, leucine. Think about it. Every single bodybuilder and fitness enthusiast, from the 1970s until today, has relied on this one food as a cornerstone of their diet. There's a very good reason for that. It works. I remember talking to a personal trainer who specializes in working with seniors. He told me that the very first dietary change he makes for his new clients is to ensure they are eating a simple, baked or grilled chicken breast for lunch or dinner 3 to 4 times a week. He called it the single most reliable tool in the toolbox for helping his clients see real, tangible gains in their strength. So our number 2 powerhouse food is, of course, skinless chicken breast. It's versatile, it's affordable, and it is incredibly effective. Your action step is to aim to include a 3 to 4 ounce portion of baked, grilled, or poached chicken breast in your meals on a regular basis. The key is to avoid cooking methods that add a lot of unnecessary fat and calories, like frying or coating it in heavy, creamy sauces. A simple chicken breast, seasoned with your favorite herbs and baked in the oven, is a perfect foundation for a muscle-building meal. The main red flag with chicken is simply food safety. To avoid any risk of foodborne illness, it's crucial to handle raw chicken carefully and always cook it to a safe internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Outside of that, there are very few health contraindications for eating lean chicken breast, making it one of the safest and most effective protein sources for the vast majority of people. We've covered breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We have our powerhouse proteins. But what if I told you that one of the biggest opportunities to rebuild your muscle happens when you're not eating at all? It happens while you are sound asleep. And that brings us to our number 1 most powerful food strategy. And here we are at number 1. The single biggest, most overlooked opportunity to combat age-related muscle loss. The mistake is what I call the nighttime neglect. It's ignoring the 8-hour fasting window that we all go through every single night while we sleep. A time when our muscles, left without fuel, can slip into a state of breakdown. Here is the simple yet revolutionary science. When you go to sleep, your body enters its primary repair mode. But after a few hours, without a source of fuel, it can begin to break down muscle tissue to get the amino acids it needs for other essential functions. This is a catabolic state. However, fascinating research has shown that if you provide your body with a specific type of slow-digesting protein before you go to bed, you can completely turn this process on its head. This special protein is called casein. It acts like a time-release fuel pellet. When you eat it, it forms a gel in your stomach, and for the next 7 to 8 hours, it slowly releases a steady stream of amino acids into your bloodstream. This feeds your muscles all night long, keeping them in a positive protein balance, an anabolic or build state, instead of a catabolic breakdown state. This is a secret that bodybuilders have known for years, but the science is now showing just how effective it is for older adults. A study published in the journal Frontiers in Nutrition found that consuming protein before sleep can significantly boost overnight muscle protein synthesis rates in older men. It's like hiring a construction crew to work the night shift on your muscles, repairing and rebuilding while you get your rest. So what is the best whole food source of this amazing casein protein? The number one food to combat nighttime neglect is cottage cheese. Why? Because an incredible 80% of the protein found in cottage cheese is that slow-release casein protein. A simple half-cup serving provides a solid 14 grams of this muscle-preserving protein. Your action step, if it feels right for you and your routine, is to have a small bowl, about half a cup, of low-fat cottage cheese about 30 to 60 minutes before you go to bed. You can eat it plain, or if you like, add a few berries for a touch of flavor. Now for the red flags with this strategy. If you suffer from acid reflux or significant indigestion, eating this close to bedtime may not be comfortable for you. The most important rule is always to listen to your body. Also, if you are lactose intolerant, cottage cheese will likely cause issues, though some people find it more digestible than a glass of milk. As with any new strategy, this is a perfect thing to discuss with your healthcare provider to see if it fits with your personal health profile and goals. So as we've journeyed from number 9 all the way to number 1, a powerful and I hope an empowering picture has emerged. Rebuilding muscle and reclaiming your strength as you age isn't about finding one single magic food or a miracle pill. It's about adopting a daily strategy. It's about starting your day with a protein-packed breakfast of eggs to flip on that muscle-building switch early. It's about having smart lunches built around lean chicken or tofu. It's about choosing anti-inflammatory walnuts for a snack instead of empty carbs. It's about powerful, nutrient-dense dinners featuring lean beef or salmon. And finally, it's about finishing your day with a serving of cottage cheese to ensure that vital repair process continues all night long. It is a full-day commitment to your strength, made up of small, simple choices. The most important message I want you to take away from our time together today is this: you are not a passive bystander in the aging process. You are the architect of your own strength. The choices you make at the grocery store and in your kitchen are some of the most powerful tools you possess to build a stronger, more vibrant, and more independent life. You have the control. Now, I would love to hear from you. Which of these 9 foods or strategies was the biggest aha moment for you? Was it the idea of a pre-sleep protein snack? Or perhaps the importance of protein pacing throughout the day? Please, leave a comment down below. I love reading your stories and your insights, and it helps our entire community learn and grow together. If you found this deep dive helpful, and you want more science-backed, no-nonsense guides to help you thrive in your best years, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the little notification bell. That way, you won't miss our next video. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It's an investment in your health, and that is the most important investment you can ever make. Here's to your strength, here's to your health, and I'll see you in the next video.